of USAID. The politics after that tweet, after that claim, has skyrocketed. The issue became a flashpoint between the BJP and the Congress because Doge said that $21 million of USAID, or 180 crore rupees, were being sent for voter turnout in India. The BJP claimed that this shows that the money was coming to finance actions against the incumbent government and the BJP. But today came a twist in the story. The Indian Express printed a report saying that the money, the key figure of $21 million, didn't come to India at all. According to the newspaper, this amount instead went to Bangladesh. Now, how did they establish this sequence of events? According to the Indian Express, they say that records that they accessed show that $21 million was sanctioned by USAID in 2022. But the sanctioning was done for a project in Bangladesh and not India. What was the method adopted for this investigation? All USAID funds are channeled through a Washington-based group, the Consortium for Elections and Political Process Strengthening, or CEPS, CEPPS. Then, every grant that is given out via CEPS, when it goes to various countries, has a sort of an identification number. Just like when you have a home loan, you would have a file number. Similarly, when USAID gives out any grants, any money, they attach a federal award identification number to it. Now, the Indian Express looked through records. They found the federal award identification number for the figure of 21 million or 22 million that is mentioned in the Doge tweet. When they looked at the federal identification number, they found that one money trail went to Moldova in 2016, and that grant was to run till July 2026. Then they looked at another disbursal. The other federal grant went in July 2022 to Bangladesh, and this was the figure of $21 million. This money was supposed to support the USAID project of Amar Vote Amar, which means my vote is mine. It was meant to run for 3 years until July 2025. $13.4 million have already been given out, according to the Indian Express report. But here comes the twist. The critical difference is that Doge, in its original communication, in the original tweet that they put out, if you pay attention to the very first line, they say funds that were going to be spent, as in that something was going to happen, but we stopped it in its tracks. Whereas the Indian Express report is referencing a disbursal that has already happened in 2022. And that's why when they correlated the figure of 21 million, they said, hey, there is no 21 million mentioned anywhere in the records. And they reached the conclusion that the money that they did see of 21 million went to Bangladesh. Now, while this report may have become the center of a fresh war of words in India, Donald Trump, for one, is absolutely sticking to his guns. He's reiterated his charge yet again that $21 million were to be sent, and not to Bangladesh or Moldova or any other place. He said they were going to be sent to India and that this was a kickback scheme. Meanwhile, the MEA today also officially took a line in the whole case, and it revealed that Indian agencies have already started a probe in the matter.
And $21 million for voter turnout in India. Why are we caring about India turnout? We got enough problems. We want our own turnout, don't we? Can you imagine all that money going to India? I wonder what they think when they get it. Now, it's a kickback scheme. You know, it's not like they get it and they spend. They kick it back to the people that send it, I would say, in many cases. Many of these cases, anytime you have no idea what we're talking about, that means there's a kickback. And $21 million for voter turnout in India. What do we need to spend $21 million for voter turnout in India? Wow, $21 million. I guess they were trying to get somebody else elected. Well, we ought to tell the Indian government.
Seen information that has been put out by the US administration regarding certain USAID activities and funding. These are obviously very deeply troubling. This has led to concerns about foreign interference in India's internal affairs. Relevant departments and agencies are looking into this matter. It would be premature to make a public comment at this stage.
So the bottom line is this: the US president is absolutely clear that money was to be sent, and it was to be sent to influence voter turnout in India, no other place in the world, in India. Even the report in the Indian Express doesn't take away from this claim. A future disbursal has been nipped in the bud as of February 2025 by the Department of Government Efficiency in the United States. Now, was this part of some malicious attempt or an altruistic project to strengthen democracy in our country? That remains the $21 million question. Thankfully, though, now that the government says a probe has already started into the issue, the answers and the names of the characters involved will hopefully soon be before the public. Staying with news about USAID and the controversy it has created, let's turn our focus on neighboring Bangladesh. Around the time that elections were to be held in Bangladesh, there was a sudden and suspicious spike in American funding to the South Asian nation. In fact, the quantum of aid to Bangladesh saw a considerable rise year on year in the run-up to Sheikh Hasina being overthrown. Does that tell you a story? According to US government data, the Biden administration gave $1.4 billion to Bangladesh through USAID between 2021 and 2024. But look at how it has grown year on year. If it was just $310 million in 2021, it rose to $400 million the year before elections and then settled at $371 million. But what is more interesting is when you see the breakup of this USAID. Who were the recipients in Bangladesh society? First, let's talk about the amount spent under the head of democratic participation and civil society. This expenditure of USAID rose more than 6 times from $1.8 million in 2021 to a whopping $7.5 million in 2024. From 1.8 in 2021, it saw a marginal rise in 2022. It touched $3.5 million in 2023. But take a look. The election year in Bangladesh, it rose to a steep $7.5 million, a rise of 316%. Remember, one of the allegations made by Sheikh Hasina supporters and her party is that Americans were funding pro-democracy or rather anti-Awami League democracy activists and instigating regime change. That's why the head, government and civil society becomes interesting. That header where money has been given. Now the amount which is under the header of government and civil society rose almost 300% in a span of 4 years. It was $13 million in 2021, went to a moderate $14 million the next year, but in the run-up to the elections, it shot up to $26 million. When campaigning was at its peak, it went to $38 million. The percentage rise under this head, 192% over 4 years. Since many allegations also revolve around election interference, let's take a look at what was the money disbursed under the header of elections. Interestingly, it stayed zero. There was no money given in 2021 and 2022. Then when the campaign started in 2023, $3.5 million were funneled into Bangladesh. From zero, it went straight to $3.5 million and settled at $3.3 million in 2024. One of the sharpest spikes is in the assistance given by USAID, around 15 times, under the head media and free flow of information. Was this about narrative building? It rose from 0.53 million US dollars in 2021. That's it. It's not even 1 full million in 2021. But by the time elections came around in 2024, this had grown to $7.4 million. The spike is of over 1,200%. Remember, Sheikh Hasina keeps saying that over the months when the student revolution started, a narrative was created of how it was a dictatorial government, how democratic protests were being suppressed. There was a lot of bad press that she suffered from. Did any of this money, which was meant for media, go towards any of those campaigns? Now let's take a look at the bigger picture. The Biden government has been a vocal critic of the government led by Sheikh Hasina. There are several illustrations of this. In February 2023, US State Department Counselor Derek Chollet said that erosion of democracy in any country, including Bangladesh, limits Washington's ability to cooperate with that country. In April 2023, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken told Bangladesh's foreign minister that the world was watching their upcoming election. In the same year, the US allegedly extended support to the Islamist Bangladesh Nationalist Party and the Jamaat-e-Islami during its protests against the Hasina-led government. The timing of these revelations is significant. It comes less than a week before the same student organizations that overthrew Sheikh Hasina in the name of civil society uprising were planning to foray into active politics. Student leaders who were the left and right hand of Muhammad Yunus have now decided that they are going to branch out. They are going to float a political party of their own, leading many to ask if the entire coup, the support of Muhammad Yunus, if all of that was only an eyewash, an ultimate aim was to grab power by means fair or foul, and whether US money played any part in it. Speaking of investigations, it's been 3 months since the horrific violence in Sambhal in Uttar Pradesh, and now the first charge sheet in the case has been filed by the UP police. It was a clash that left 5 people dead, and the charge sheet has revealed some shocking details of what happened. What happened during that court-mandated survey? It was not some spur-of-the-moment action-reaction type crime. That was a theory that was propagated earlier. In fact, it now emerges that all of the violence was orchestrated with the express purpose of killing the man who was representing the temple side, who had gone to court seeking a survey of the masjid in Sambhal.
इसके द्वारा यह भी बताया गया कि जो 24 तारीख को जो हिंसा है उसमें एक कोई वकील है जो कि बाहर से आते हैं और वो जगह जगह पे एप्लीकेशन डालते हैं। इनके द्वारा ये निर्धारित किया गया, जब प्लानिंग में असले देने के समय उन्होंने उसको ब्रीफ किया गया था, उसका फोटो भी उनको बताया गया था कि ये इस तरीके का व्यक्ति है, झोलिए का है, इसको जामा मस्जिद के अंदर किसी भी सूरत में पहुंच के उस व्यक्ति को खत्म करना है, उससे देश भर के अंदर हिंसा